Jake, the problem child Paul, takes on Andre August on December 15th. For me, this could well be August's Rocky story. No one knows him, no one's ever heard about him. He's a complete under the radar fighter, and he's set to challenge one of the biggest influencers of this generation. As far as I can tell for research, he doesn't have a nickname, a boxing nickname, in which case I'm gonna call him the Texan Stallion. If you don't get the reference, go watch Rocky. Alright, this will be the biggest event that he's ever fought on. Before, he was fighting on small hall shows against unknowns. If I was August, I'd be bang up for this. I'd train like an absolute lion. Lions in the camp! I'd put everything into this and throw the kitchen sink at Jake Paul. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity. If he pulls this off, he's automatically one of the biggest combat stars. Probably in boxing, weirdly. I know that sounds ridiculous, but Jake Paul is a huge name, and he would be doing a service in the eyes of many boxing purists. Lots of people want to see the fall of Paul. I can't see why. He's doing great things for boxing, and I'm finding his career very interesting. It's quite exciting. I'm happy that he's trying to come into this game, learn his craft, do it the proper way, proper boxing, traditional way. I always said to my peers that I thought Jake should fight more often, against people that are unknown, maybe some journeymen, some people with decent records, under the radar, not in front of the glitz and glamour. Have fights in between his pay-per-view events. After all, he wants to become world champion, so that's what you need to do. You need to build up their experience. Do I see him doing it? No, I don't think he will become world champion. I'm going to be brutally honest. I don't think he's good enough, but he could prove you and me both wrong. Fighters like Anthony Yard with limited experience have done relatively well. Lucas Brown, an Australian heavyweight, he started when he was 30 years old, became WBA heavyweight world champion. He went into someone's backyard in Russia and took that belt from him. So it is in the realms of possibility. Where there's a will, there's a way. And with so many belts lying around in boxing, there's definitely a way. I think it's great by doing what he's doing in fighting this guy. Massive props to him. He's risking it all. He's risking everything he's built up to now. If this night goes south and August goes on to stop him, the scenes, the absolute scenes, it'd be huge. Is Jake Paul biting off more than he can chew? I've watched a few clips of August, and I must say, it won't be a walk in the park for Jake. December 15th, we'll find out what both men are made of. But for now, let's explore what August is made of in the meantime. Has he really got a shot in beating Jake Paul? So Andre August is 35. He stands at about 5'10", and he fights out of Texas. He's competed most of his career at the light heavyweight division. One weight class below Jake Paul fights in the Cruiserweight division. He currently has a record of 10 wins, 1 defeat and 1 draw. 5 of his wins have come by way of knockout, so he can punch a bit. Jake Paul currently has a record of 7 wins, 4 coming by way of knockout. He's got 1 defeat, and that one only defeat came by the hands of the one and only Tommy Fury, the YouTube destroyer. The only time he's actually stepped up and fought a boxer. This isn't August's only experience though. He's a 3-time Texas Golden Glove champion, so he does have the experience over Paul. The guys he's fought up to now, currently professionally, are not well beaters, but this is to be expected with the current stage of his career. He's only 10-0. He's not going to be fighting world destroyers by any means. It's difficult to weigh up who has the better competition. Jake Paul has fought a lot of MMA guys, and we don't really know how they compare to actual boxers. I know we could throw that whole Ngannou and Fury argument out there, but usually an MMA fighter isn't the best boxer. They're not the best strikers. What I would say though is I think that they've had similar sort of experience, but Jake Paul has definitely fought the better fighters. With Jake Paul, they've actually come with some sort of ambition. They've come to win. Whereas a lot of August's opponents, they would have come to just sit down, get a paycheck. This will also be the first time that August competes over 6 rounds. He hasn't gone over 6 rounds. And there's something Jake Paul definitely does have over Andre August. So it will be interesting. That's another point of contention. Would he be able to do the rounds if he, for instance, picks a 10-round contest? I've watched a few clips from August. Unfortunately, you can't actually find any full fights from him on YouTube. But from what I could gauge of it, he's an absolute workhorse. He throws punches in bunches. He's definitely no slouch, and he's going to be a good test for Jake Paul. He comes and comes and comes at you. Sounds a bit weird. Maybe I should have rethought that line. He just doesn't take the foot off the gas. He just full throttle. These innuendos, jeez. He has quite a similar style to Mike Tyson, that peekaboo style. He likes to get on the inside. I'm not sure if he actually stands at 5'10". I think that might be exaggerated. He looks a lot noticeably shorter than his opponents, but from what you can tell from his style, it is like Mike Tyson's. It's very explosive. I'm not saying that he's on the level of Mike Tyson. I'm just saying that he's adopted sort of similar techniques. What he has to do is he has to come forward. He needs to close the distance. Sit on your chest. A lot of his stoppages have come via this method. He double, triple jabs in. He digs to the body. He pushes you to the ropes. And then he just unleashes a bunch of hooks to both head and body. He's got good variation. And he's got pretty good footwork too. He has, however, been stopped against less than stellar opposition. He's lost against a journeyman and he's drawn. So how good is he actually? He's also 35. So how much does he really have left? Jake Paul's the younger, fresher fighter. And yes, Andre August doesn't have a lot of miles on the clock. But when you have a younger, fresher fighter against, you know, a bit of an old timer, there's differences in stamina, endurance, chin, the lot. But I'm going to say this: I do think he's a decent low-level fighter, a good test for Jake Paul. He's recently defeated a prospect, Brandon Martin. He was originally 7-0, and he was also a bit of a knockout artist himself. How good was he? I don't know. He stood at 6'4", so August had to close the distance. He'd also had the hunger as well to obviously fight that fight. He wouldn't have wanted to have lost his 0. So August, I think, is much better than a lot of people are giving him credit for. Just because he lost to low-level opposition before doesn't mean he's rubbish. It's happened to so many former world champions before. They've lost, they've come back. And a good example of that is Johnny Nelson. He went on a 3-fight loss streak when he literally started his career, and he ended up becoming WBO Cruiserweight world champion. I'm not saying August is going to be world champion, but I think he's a lot better than all of us are giving him credit for. You can see he's got good technique, he's a good boxer, but will that all hold up? Will that pressure and spotlight? He's never been in, you know, the spotlight before, in front of big crowds. Will that all get to him? We'll find out. We've also not seen Jake Paul fight anyone with a decent work rate yet. He hasn't really got a good work rate himself, so it'd be interesting to see how he handles that. I've always thought that Jake Paul's work rate has been quite low, so that cardio boy is going to have to be top notch. But yeah, I will cover both fighters' methods to victory in a separate video. But to sum it up, I do think that Jake Paul's managers, his trainers, have picked somebody that they think that Jake Paul can beat. Obviously, no duh, but they're not going to risk millions upon millions that Paul could potentially earn in the future against this guy. They know something we don't, but again, they could be wrong. Jake Paul usually deals better with people that come to him. He's the taller fighter out the two. I can see him sticking him on the end of the jab and looking to counter him with that great left hook he has. Quite similar to how he dealt with Nate Robinson. I think that's a good case to actually put forward. We could see a similar sort of fight and maybe similar sort of outcome. One thing I will say though is don't hook with a hooker. August does throw some good hooks, so Jake Paul will have to be careful. More to come with this fight. I'm going to break it down a little bit more in separate videos. Let's not count out Andre August. This is his Rocky story. He's going to go hell for leather. I can see it happening. Anyway, I really hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and comment. And I'll see you in the next one. Bash.